GamingBolt presents 15 things you need to know before you buy Prey. When the Prey reveal trailer dropped at E3, it prompted a flurry of questions about its nature. Was this a sequel, a revival of the cancelled Prey 2, or something different? Since then, we've received tons of information about the game, from dev interviews to demos, and now we have a clearer sense of what Prey will be. So as the Prey release approaches, we've compiled a list of things you should know about the game in order to help you decide if it's up your alley. Prey is neither a remake nor a sequel, but a reimagining. The new Prey will not mirror its predecessor, nor is it a sequel. Instead, it is a sort of reboot, a reimagining of what the game might have been like had the devs had access to modern gameplay technology. Prey will be thematically similar to the original, featuring powerful aliens, semi-magical abilities, and a puzzle component. Fans of the original who aren't looking for a straight remaster will likely find the new game well worth the wait. Prey will be a first-person shooter with narrative and RPG elements. Like Arcane's Dishonored series, Prey will be rooted in the first-person perspective, where players will use both melee and ranged weapons to combat the aliens on Talos Station. However, pure first-person combat is not the game's sole emphasis. Prey has a strong narrative element, focusing more on telling a story than creating a robust online multiplayer experience. The game will also feature RPG elements, and as they progress through the game, players will gain skills and abilities to make them more powerful, even stealing some from the mysterious Typhon aliens. The main character, Morgan Yu, can be played as either a woman or a man. Following on the track of Fallout 4, Prey will allow players to select a female or male Morgan Yu. We think this is a great addition, as it will allow players to embody a character they either identify with or are interested in. Furthermore, both characters will be fully voiced, so the experience will remain the same regardless of your choice. Players will have to scavenge the space station for weapons and other technology to help them survive. Talos 1 is not a military station. Morgan Yu is not a space marine. Weapons and equipment on the station are geared towards research and containment, not warfare. As a result, players will need to scavenge for supplies, counting their bullets and shotgun shells carefully while deciding whether they might be able to take down an enemy with a wrench in order to conserve resources. Players will also gradually gain access to neuromods, brain-altering modifications that give them similar supernatural abilities to those possessed by aliens, in order to try and gain an edge over their opponents. The space station in Prey is a contiguous map. There are no levels, and you can go anywhere. This is not to say that you should go anywhere. There are regions in the space station occupied by powerful aliens, and you'll surely die if you venture into those zones too early on. However, there are no levels or linear paths in Prey. As you explore the station, you'll learn new skills and gain access to better equipment, which will open up more and more difficult regions on the station. Players will also find that if they backtrack through earlier portions of the station, it will have changed. Areas once clear of enemies will become infested, and former battlegrounds will become eerily silent, making every part of the station fraught with peril. You can exit the space station to move around outside, then re-enter from another airlock. In an interesting and innovative move, Arcane devs have allowed players to exit the station. Not sure how to get past a locked door or a particularly stubborn enemy? Try going for a spacewalk to see if you can gain access back into the station on the other side. This is one of the many puzzle-solving tactics players will need to take advantage of in order to progress through Prey. The enemies can shapeshift. From the very first trailers, we've seen that the aliens can shapeshift. Whether it's a coffee cup or a desk chair, nothing can be trusted anymore. Because of this, we can expect at least a few jump scares, with seemingly mundane or even useful items turning into horrifying space monsters. This will also make the general world feel very hostile, even outside of combat, because any chair, table, or pack of rations could be an alien waiting to consume you. Prey will have multiple endings. How you progress through the story of Prey will have an effect on the game's ending. Devs have pointed out that the most important aspect of this is how you treat other human beings on the station. Will you be a ruthless survivalist, or will you try to save everyone you find? The choices you make in regards to others will have an impact on how the story plays out, though at this point we can't be sure exactly what that will mean or where the story will end. The Arcane team working on Prey is not the same team that worked on Dishonored. Though the studio that developed Dishonored is developing Prey, a different team is working on it. While the company aesthetic and procedures will surely produce similarities in design, style, and quality, players should not expect Dishonored with aliens in space. Fans of the Dishonored series will likely enjoy Prey, but it may be safe to hold off until the reviews are in if you're planning on getting it solely based on Dishonored alone. The aliens in Prey take on a variety of roles. The Typhon is not a single creature, but rather a collection of different aliens with different abilities, all working for the same goal, or may be controlled by some overriding will. Some are little explosive balls that track motion and attack without the thought. Others are shape-shifting desk chairs we saw in the trailers, while others are hulking brutes. Players don't have to worry about growing bored of fighting the aliens, as combat will constantly present new challenges as the enemies take different forms and are presented in different combinations with one another. Prey takes place in an alternative timeline where JFK survived his assassination. As they move through the station, players will notice a variety of aesthetic styles at work. These are representative of the station's long history and the different organizations that have controlled and expanded upon it over time. Prey takes place in an alternative timeline where JFK survived his assassination and the US and Russia poured even more resources into space exploration. As a result, aesthetic styles throughout the station will mirror this alternative idea of what could have been, sometimes drawing from retro-futuristic predictions, sometimes from Art Deco. Gameplay will invite you to experiment and reward innovation. In interviews, the developers have stated that many of the game's mechanics were designed without a specific use in mind, but rather to give the player a wide range of tools to work with. One example of this is that players can learn to levitate enemies and disable them for an easy kill. But this levitation skill can also be used to levitate an automated turret up onto the next level of a room where it can gun down enemies that the player can't necessarily see. This kind of innovation is encouraged and rewarded in Prey, and the player freedom is only curbed where developers found certain combinations to be game-breaking. Prey will tutorialize certain areas of the early game. Much of Prey's problems will be up to players to solve, but players won't be entirely without a guiding hand. Early on in the game, there will be a few puzzles to solve with solutions just around the mental corner. These are designed to get players used to the idea that it is up to them to solve the puzzles, and that there are often more ways than one to solve this particular conundrum that's blocking their way. Though players will inhabit the same space, the context will remain fresh. The open nature of the space station may be concerning to some. What good is an open world if it's a tiny little station? Arcane Studios have addressed this fear, stating the context of the world will change as the game progresses. A door you might pass early on in the game may be unlockable only after you've found a key much later on. A corridor blocked by a powerful alien might be opened with the help of your new machine gun, and ledges that require ability combinations to reach may gradually be made available. Players needn't worry about the game becoming stale, as the environment of the station will always be changing. Prey will be hard. Finally, it's worth noting that Prey will be very difficult. Devs have said it isn't quite on the level of Dark Souls, but the game does have very challenging passages. Death is almost guaranteed, and there are some encounters that will require creativity and skill to complete. Players will need to think through their strategies and execute difficult plans in order to take down some of the game's enemies, and in some cases this may take a number of attempts. If you're coming into Prey expecting that you'll be an unstoppable badass gunning down aliens, then you might want to think about picking something else up. And that'll be about it for this one. If you guys like what we're doing at GamingBolt, please consider subscribing to our channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.